All right. Welcome to the Podioslave podcast. I'm here with my co-hosts, as always, Anthony and Tony, and we were just celebrating Jim Carrey's birthday a little while ago, and I just thought of it in my head. There's no better place to nerd out than the Podioslave podcast.
I thought you were going Family Guy. All right. Giggity.
Isn't that McConaughey? That's McConaughey, isn't it?
Yeah, who the hell are we talking about here? What the fuck is going on?
McConaughey into Jim Carrey.
Man. Oh, gosh. Into Quagmire. Giggity. I'm doing well. I appreciate you asking. We don't even know what number episode this is because we're recording it early and you'll hear it later. I'm being meta right now. Everybody out there, we typically give you the number. Well, this is past 100. So if you're still with us, hey, we're crushing it. We're past the 100 mark, and this is probably right around our 2-year anniversary as well. So
yep,
pretty stoked, man, that we've continued to do this for 2 years and had a blast doing it. And I don't want to stop. You guys around for more?
Oh, I'm in for more. And I think if you heard episode 100, I mean, that's what happens when you kind of get some traction and you start interviewing folks, and you know, it's a snowball effect, and we're here for it. And you know, maybe for episode 200 we'll do something like that in person. Just have a gathering of the juggalos.
Yes, gathering of the vibes.
The vibes. Just have a big gathering. Just invite everyone to our house and just have a big house show, and then record some pods, and who knows? I'm in.
Yeah, everybody will show up. I hope that'd be cool.
No one shows.
There'll be Scott Russo probably won't, but everybody else.
Everyone's like, "Fuck those guys." Then I'm not.
It's cool. It's like you, me, Nate, Spose, Toby McAllister, Rob. That's about it. All the main
Sean
guys.
and Seth. Shout out Trawl.
Sean and Seth. Yeah.
Lauren might come by. Yeah, some local flavor.
Yeah, she might.
Yep. It's the Podioslave yearbook signing.
I love it. So what are we doing tonight, boys?
We got what? Bandvantage album edition. So a few weeks back we did Bandicap album edition, where you heard, you know, Our Lady Peace and Guns N' Roses, and who else was in there?
Oh man, there were some good ones. I can't even remember.
Oh, the Vandals.
Asked.
I'm thinking of some of those album titles. Helmet Size Matters.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this is the reverse of that. These are album titles that elevate the album, elevate the band. So basically the yin to that yang.
Yeah, and we've done this with the band names themselves. We originally did introduce Bandicap way back in the teens, and then Bandvantage also way back there too. There's a yin to yang for all of it, right? So we did the albums. Now let's do the Bandvantage albums, the ones that we think fit the band and elevate the band and make the music maybe that much more meaningful to us nerds.
Great point. More meaningful. And I think that's a theme for a couple of mine. But definitely elevate it. Definitely elevate the whole album experience.
Yep. And as always, we come here not knowing each other's picks. And it's always an interesting exercise because you're trying to look at this, you know, at third person. Like, I don't know this album cover. I don't know this band, this name, this album. But you're like trying to look at it with fresh eyes, which is, I want to say difficult, but in some cases helpful. But, you know, I try to almost stay away from what I know, but you circle back to, you know, what is conducive to not only the topic, but you ignore the fact that you're accustomed to the band and the album, said album. So
it's a great point. Both of those points is great. Yeah, if you're new to the podcast, when we do these type of episodes, we do not tell each other what we're picking. So this is new for the two other people. It's new for the listeners, except when we tease the episode with visuals and stuff. We kind of give some of it away.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right. You kind of get caught up in if you know the album. Sometimes you need to just take a step back and be like, all right, shit, yeah. And that actually came up for one of these albums for sure. I was like, oh shit, that album title slays.
Yep.
And it's not Slayer's Rain of Blood. No.
Which also slays,
right.
Literally. All right. So before we get started on the main segment, I have a game for you guys. Are you ready for this game?
Hell yeah. So ready. Let's do it.
It's called Band Names, Real or Fake.
I love it.
I figured this would make sense with the band album name theme episode. We've talked about bandicaps numerous times in this episode. We've gone through festival lineups and found band names. We're like, what the hell is that? And how do they even get traction? On our anticipation episode, I think it was, we talked about Wet Leg,
Right,
being this like up and coming, pitchforky type band. And it led me to think, I'm going to make up some names and then I'm going to find some real ones and I'm going to throw them at you guys and see if you can tell the difference. So we'll see how you guys do. Any questions before we get started?
No questions, but the fake ones you should probably register in your name so you can get some profit off of.
Let's make the websites. Yeah.
Can you use the name in a sentence, please? Country of origin.
Yes. I can probably do both. Yes. All right. So I'll give you the first one. I think I've got, let's see, how many do I have here? I probably have about 15.
Nice.
Band name, real or fake? Honey Dijon.
Real.
I feel like I've heard this. I like, maybe it's just, I'm just thinking of that. I don't know. I feel like I've seen this before. I'm going to say
So
real.
you think it's real? You both think it's real?
Yeah,
It's
but
real.
similar to Twan, I think I saw it somewhere recently.
It's real. Yep, it's real.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I hadn't seen it recently, I'd say no, fake. That's a bullshit name. No offense.
All right, I got one. Parmesan peppercorn.
Right, exactly. I mean, how many salad dressings can we name?
Thousand
Creamy
Islands.
Caesar.
Thousand Islands. Creamy Caesar.
Hey, we're Thousand Island from South Portland, Maine. All right, we're already off the rails.
We
It didn't
are
take long.
Buttermilk Ranch from San Diego, California.
Oh, man. All right, we ready for another one? Real or fake?
Yes.
Yeah.
Table leg, one word.
No way. Hard no.
I'm going to go fake on this one as well.
It's fake. I made that one up. Yes.
Okay. It's too close to wet leg.
One leg. One word.
Yeah, it's one word. All one word, table leg. All right. In similar fashion, one word, Ken doll.
I feel like I've seen that, but I could be full of shit as well. I don't know.
I'm going fake.
All right. Twan real, Nate fake.
Yeah.
All right. It's a real band name. Ken doll is a real band name.
Wow.
Yep. Barbie, whatever, didn't want anything.
Good for merchandising, I guess.
Real or fake? Purple turkey.
Gotta be fake.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fake. It's a cringeworthy name to say out loud. So
Yeah, but that's the
Are
point,
you
right?
buying
I mean, most of
purple
these
turkey merch? No, you're not.
You might. Purple turkey fake. I made purple turkey up. Yep.
oh man.
All right. Real or fake? Alaska.
Fake.
I feel like it's too bizarre for you to make that up, so it's real.
It's real. Alaska, real band.
So good they didn't name it. twice.
And caveat to this, and probably should have said this at the beginning. I don't know. We don't know any of these bands for the most part. We're not knocking the music. We just find the band names to be kind of funny and wanted to see if anybody thought they were real or not.
And I'll double down on that. There's bands that I love where the names suck. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It happens, and it just is what it is. It's a fun exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good full disclosure. I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, so I'll give you that
Right.
as that.
Well, they
it's
were
a
Mookie
terrible band
Blaylock,
name.
which is a person before that. So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right. Real or fake? Disgruntled gentleman.
I want to say fake, but I'm going to say real just because I'm striking out over here.
I'm gonna go the same. I think it's real.
It's fake. I made that one up.
Oh wow.
Oh no shit.
I made that one up. All right. Real or fake? Talking plants.
That's fake. You made that.
The fact that I'm really thinking about it is crazy. I'm gonna go fake. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fake. I made that one up.
that's not a bad. That one for whatever reason, I'm like, that's actually not a bad band name.
I'm having way too much fun with this.
And actually, a question for you: did you fact check like these made up ones? Because they could be like if
I probably should.
probably some local band talking plants. They're listening. They're pissed.
You know what I hope? I hope if you're listening out there and you're thinking about naming your band and you want to name your band Talking Plants, please go ahead. Just add us. Just give us the credit for the name. Real or fake? Emo night.
Well, I know emo night's like a thing. Like it's an actual night, and nightclubs or whatever they have emo nights.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a band name? I'm gonna say no, fake.
Nate, real or fake?
I'm gonna say yes. Real.
It's real. It's a real band name.
Oh,
Yeah?
nice.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, a win.
All right, a few more here. Real or fake? Green Skittle.
Oh my god. I'm gonna go fake on this one, mainly because of the copyright infringement with Skittle.
I'm gonna go fake. I mean, yeah,
It's just Skittle. It's not Skittles.
it's fake.
Okay.
It's fake. I made that up.
Green M&M though.
Four
Green M&M.
Musketeers. No.
My wife, yeah, right. My wife wanted me to go green M&M, and I was like, that's too derivative. You're right, though, but it's too derivative. All right. Real or fake? Crumb.
Gotta be real. Wait, can you spell it?
Yeah, CRUMB. Crumb.
Crumb.
Crumb. Debut.
Yeah, debut.
Home Depot. I'm gonna go.
Amphitheater.
Oh, god damn.
So Crumb, isn't Crumb like from all Real Monsters? Crumb.
Might be. Yeah, I don't know. Is it real or fake? That's the question.
Oh, man, I'm gonna go fake on this one, although it's viable.
One.
It's real. That's got to be real.
It's a real band name.
Oh, okay. Shit.
All right, let's see here. I've got about a few more. Let's do two more.
Yeah.
Works.
All right. Real or fake? Cat emoji.
Fake.
I mean, that's like a Pitchfork Fest or Coachella, like deep in the line. It has to be real.
It's fake. I made it up.
Oh.
All right. Real or fake? Motherfolk.
Oh man, fake.
I'm going real.
It's real. It's real.
Wow.
And our last one, it's a bonus. These are two band names. One is real and one is fake. Flock of Dimes or Flock of Nickels?
Dimes is real.
I'm gonna agree with Twan. Yeah, Flock of Dimes.
Dimes is real. Nickels is fake.
It flows better. It's still a weird name.
All right, I'll do one.
That
I'll
was
do
fun.
one.
You got one? All right.
Yeah. Nickelback.
Real.
Wait, the tribute band? Oh no.
The one I didn't use that I made up, Hippo Parade.
Oh, good.
Oh man, that's actually
Wolf
a good
Parade sister band.
Yeah. Hippo Parade. No, that was fun. I enjoyed making those up. I enjoyed reading them to my wife the other night and to you guys right now.
one. It really shows you that anything is viable. I mean, right? The art speaks for itself. If you have a shitty band name, or at least in our eyes, but you go on Spotify and see the metrics, we're getting old, man. Not gonna lie, we're not in touch.
I intentionally didn't look at the Coachella lineup because I knew we were going to do this.
I pulled some from there. Yeah, I pulled some from there. I pulled some from Bonnaroo. It's the easiest place to find a bunch of band names that don't make sense. So,
Yeah.
Bandicap, Hippo Parade. That's a fun one. All right, we want to do the main segment?
Yeah. Bandicap album, A Dish.
No, Bandvantage.
Yeah, Bandvantage.
Oh, what did I say?
A dish. Bandicap.
Jeez,
Bandvantage.
I'm living in the past here. Bandvantage. So these elevate the band. Okay. Shit, I got to redo my list. No.
Oh, no. I'll lead off. I got one for you.
Nice.
2002, underground hip hop. Probably my favorite record from this duo. One that got me into them. I think it was the first one I ever bought. And I know I've seen them with you, Nate, a couple times. I think, Twan, you might have been in one or two of them as well. Any thoughts? Any guesses?
I gotta
God
guess.
loves
Yep.
ugly.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're going to
Yeah.
guess that, Nate?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Atmosphere's God Loves Ugly. All one word, I believe. Man, the title track is so great too. It's kind of emo underground hip hop. And at the time when this came out, I think I found it about a year after it came out. I was a freshman in college. It came out when we were in high school. And I was way into the feeling of this record. And the name just felt right. I was like, I'm by myself. All my friends went to college. I'm stuck at home. And I'm just like looking for music to connect with. And I walked into Bull Moose one day and they were playing Lucy Ford, which is a record before this from Atmosphere. And I was like, man, I like this. I like the flow. I like the storytelling aspect. I'm going to go over to the CD bins and see if I can't find something by Atmosphere. And sure enough, right up front, there was God Loves Ugly, because it had been out for about a year and it was fairly new. So I grabbed that, put it in my CD player, and it hasn't really left since. That's a record I've listened to probably at least twice a year for 20 years. And I think the name listen to the title track and you'll understand why the name works for the record. And the rest of the record's phenomenal. It's just a great underground hip hop record that really fits the kind of emo-y vibes that they were going for at the time. So God Loves Ugly by Atmosphere is my first pick. Bandvantage.
I love that. I love the story behind it too, because it's so specific to how you discover music in a record store. Thankfully, to the music or record store sommelier playing something over the PA, you know, they have good taste, and you kind of get drawn to something that you had no idea about. Like, it's not radio, it's not, you know, it's not being shoved down your throat. So you found it organically in a nerd atmosphere, no pun intended. Well, I guess pun intended. And discovered this new artist, which, from what I recollect, is one of your all-time favorite artists, right?
Especially around this time. Yeah. I mean, I like the stuff recently, but I don't vibe with it the same way I did when this came out and I was that age.
Yeah. And it's the era. So it makes sense. Additionally, any band's album name that has the name or word God in it, for whatever reason, kind of, it draws you in because it's such a unique word. It's like sex, God, anything that has some significance beyond its word in, you know, multiple dimensions. You're like, okay, what is this? God Loves Ugly is super perplexing because it's ugly and God in the same sentence. So yeah, I can see that. And I agree with you. I think it's a great pick.
It's a great album. And I think it's an album that, so if they went with a different name, it's an album that could overcome a bad name, but this just elevates it. Now, is there a title track?
This is, yeah, it's the title track is God Loves Ugly, and it's probably it might be my favorite Atmosphere track. If it's not my favorite, it's in top 3.
And this, just so we're level setting, this is the album with Slug on the cover.
Yep.
Yeah, looking real young.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Fuck, damn.
Yeah. We all looked really young 20 years ago.
So when we said we were going to do this episode, like, how soon did this come into your purview? Like, this album?
I went gut feeling for like 3 records or 3 bands that I knew had records that I would work. This was probably the second one I thought of. Yep.
It's a great pick. It's another one that, kind of like with Beastie Boys a few weeks back with the bucket list bands. Like, I never would have thought of them. This is a record I never would have thought of. And honestly, I never even thought really much of the title until now. It's just like, oh, Atmosphere has an album called God Loves Ugly. Never thought of the meaning, never thought of how it ties into maybe the theme of the album or even what it meant. But it hits. It does hit.
And Ugly is used throughout the record in different instances. It really does kind of tie everything together as far as what's going on with the record. It's not a concept album per se, but there's a lot of feelings going on with this record, and I think it's a flawless underground hip hop record. I'm not sure there's a mess on there. It's just so good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I know what you're talking about. Obviously, I'm a fan. So the whole ugly narrative throughout the album, it's actually not even supposed to be ugly as the word's defined. It's like, ugly, you're so ugly, you're so ugly. It's more of, I don't even know what the meaning is, but it seems like it's more like ugly is real rather than ugly is, you know, not visually appealing. So yeah, man. And I think I agree with you also, as this is being a quintessential, you know, underground hip hop milestone. It's just, there's nothing that I can put on the same pedestal for backpack hip hop. You know, this is just like the GOAT in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And it's like right in the middle of a 4-album run for them that is just phenomenal for me. So, and very something that I spent a lot of time with, you know, from 2003 to 2010, 11. And I still love them. That era fits me growing up as a young adult and the music that kind of shaped me then.
So let's look at the album cover. They have a word crossed out. What is that word?
Loves.
He spells it wrong. So you
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's
it's like Loes.
Lo. Yeah. Right.
Huh.
Yep. And a big mugshot of Slug or Sean Daly.
Good pick, man. Good way to start us off. Nate, you wanna jump in?
Hell yeah. Hells to the yeah. I got one. This band I discovered from the artwork of this album, actually. Dropped in 1991. May 14th, 1991 to be specific. That's not when I discovered it. I'd say I'd probably found this album in like 1999-ish. The band is Primus. The album name is Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Wow.
Amazing album name. It's already a pretty complex name, Primus, and then putting Sailing the Seas of Cheese. You really don't know what you're in for. And even if you listen to the album, it doesn't add up. I can imagine a record label exec being like, I don't know what this is. I don't know how we're going to promote this, but your name's weird. Your album name is weird. So just because it's all around weird, I guess this kind of works. So I guess we'll release it and just see what happens. You know, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver was the kind of the main lead-off single. You have Tommy the Cat. The Dan Blue Collar Tweakers is another single off this album. Yeah, great album, great band. Les Claypool obviously is the kind of frontman for this band. Amazing, kind of legendary bass guitar player. Yeah, it just stood out to me because of that name, Sailing the Seas of Cheese. Like I always have these like food references, like Kevin Bacon. A lot of people love Kevin Bacon. Like there's a good Jim Gaffigan joke, like, oh, Kevin Bacon. I like the name. I like bacon, so I guess I'll check out the movie.
Like Butter Miracle, like Counting Crows Butter Miracle.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know, there's a comfort level with the food aspect. So yeah, Sailing the Seas of Cheese, let alone the album cover alone, drew me in. So this is my first pick.
I was going to poke at you and joke around that this is the Bandvantage episode, not the not the Bandicap episode. But it makes you think. It does draw, like, I think I mentioned this half dozen times. It's the whole Butthole Surfers effect, where it's so bad that it intrigues you. It's like, what could that possibly sound like? I'm in, though. Sailing the Seas of Cheese. And the album artwork, I've seen this for years and years. I'm looking at it right now. It's intriguing. It's like, visually it's appealing, but how about sonically? Now I'm interested.
And it fits the band. It elevates the band as to what they are, right? I mean, it's totally like Les Claypool, Primus. You might get a little funky. You might get a little weird. You might get a little, virtuosic. It's all of that when you think about Primus. So, good pick, man. I think you're right. It at first glance you think Bandicap, that doesn't work, and then when you dig a little deeper, you're like, oh no, that's a Bandvantage. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic. It's almost like you have to be a fan of the band to understand. Like you're like, oh, Primus, Sailing the Seas of Cheese, and then you listen to the record, you're like, oh, it would be weird if it was like Primus, like, I don't know, self-titled or I guess that would work, but like Primus, the Black Stallion or something. It'd be like, but no, the Sailing the Seas of Cheese, like that's coming straight out of Les Claypool's weird brain, so it works.
All right, let's shout out Seth from Trawl, big Primus guy. Let us know, Seth, is this a Bandvantage or is this a Bandicap as far as Sailing the Seas of Cheese? Does it elevate the album or does it pull it back?
Seth will have thoughts.
Good call.
Good pick.
Yeah, they are the quintessential funk metal band, Primus.
All right, we ready for my...
Let's do it.
Yep.
So, I mean, you guys have listened to me do this enough. I love to tease these. This will be no exception. All right, I'm gonna have us set the stage a little bit. Let's try to time travel. The year is 1987. So what's going on in 87? You get a lot of power pop. You get the Outfield. You got a lot of that glossy stuff, the Cars. Then hair metal is popping off, right? Then this band comes into play, and everything about them is a cheat code. The band name, the album name, one of the first singles, the band members' names, Geffen Records promotion engine just rolled out an amazing product with this. I'm going to get into it right now. With band members named Axl fucking Rose.
Right.
Slash. The Shredder guitarist named Slash. A band name called Guns N' Roses. Like they're checking, I'm in.
Yep.
I think it was the second. I actually thought it was the first single. It's the second single. Welcome to the Jungle. Like what?
Yep.
And the album, Appetite for Destruction. It is fucking perfect. And it's not an album that needs help from the album title. The album stands on its own. We all know that. But that album title, it takes this album to another stratosphere, I think. I mean, it's so good that I think the album could have sucked. And that album title, I think, could have carried it. And to channel this back to the other episode we did, Bandicap, I picked them because of the spaghetti incident. Like, imagine if this album was called Spaghetti Incident. It wouldn't have hit the same.
Yeah.
I think it would have been weird, right?
Yeah. Imagine if it was called Sailing the Seas of Cheese.
Right.
Right.
But I think, God damn, this album title and the imagery, the whole product was executed brilliantly. I'd love to know how much of that was the band, how much was, A&R or their management in Geffen, and they found a way to kind of screw it up down the road, but a little bit. But damn, I think this is one of the all-time album titles.
You're right. Everything about it screams Bandvantage, right?
Yeah.
Band member names, album title name, band name, it all fits what they did. And you're right. This is a perfect album title for what that album was. And that album's fucking immaculate. It's a great record. We're not reinventing the wheel by saying Appetite for Destruction is fucking awesome, but it is. We're trying to say the name of the record helps elevate it. And you're right. If it had been named something different, even like say Rocket Queen, which is a song on the record, wouldn't fit the same. Or even Welcome to the Jungle would probably fit, but I'm not sure fits as well.
Right. Or self-titled. Like, they could have gone different routes with it, but I think they nailed it.
They nailed it. Absolutely. Great record. Great call. This fits this segment perfectly.
Yeah, I love it. And the more I'm like dissecting it in my head, I'm like, there's some parallels with mine, which is it's an action, right? So you have a feeling, appetite, and then destruction, which is like an action. So there's like no matter what, you're being transported to those two things. I'm trying to look at it in the realm of like, I don't know this band, I don't know this album. Like, what if I was like a random shut-in and someone put this album in front of me? It says Appetite for Destruction. I would immediately go to those two instinctual feelings and actions. So it's just immediate. It's actually a really good band name. Even.
So if you were a shut-in, Nate, you just start breaking stuff in your house.
Yeah, destruction, appetite, hungry.
Windows are gonna be broken. I'm throwing shoes. Fuck this.
Guns, roses. But yeah, no, I think you delivered it, or the way you described it is spot on. I mean, it's a perfect package. There must have been a lot of work done behind the scenes to make sure this was, perfected, because they had been kind of in the LA scene playing the Whiskey and the Roxy, and they didn't just come out of nowhere. It was definitely progression there. So I think by the time they got to Appetite for Destruction, it was like, hey, this needs to be the best it can be. The art director, everyone, like, there's no misses. If anyone misses, it could sink the ship. And so I think it was well thought out in a time where money was flowing and it was viable. But great pick, man, absolutely. And down to the band name members like Slash,
they're
and
characters,
Axl.
right? I missed that. Like Flea,
totally.
He's a character.
Yep.
Like Slash, these guys are characters. Even Buckethead, it's like
totally.
I miss that.
Comic book style. Yeah, like the last one I can think of is Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, M Shadows. Yeah, that's a little much.
Yeah,
doesn't hit quite the same, I think, as this. But that's just me. I'd ride a little more for Appetite.
Totally.
Good pick.
And you know what? If you were like old enough to remember them popping off with this, like, let us know. Like, did they hit on all cylinders then? Because we're kind of living in the past and it hits for us, but I'd love to know if you lived it in that moment, in this new band called Guns N' Roses comes up, Welcome to the Jungle, Appetite, that whole combination, if it was fresh, if it hit. I'm curious about that.
Good call.
All right, round two.
I mentioned this episode, this band and this album a couple times, I think, recently. The Perfect Songs episode with Rob, I mentioned the band, and the Weezer episode, I mentioned the album. What am I talking about? You guys don't listen to the episodes, I guess, huh?
You're right. Yeah. I record and bounce.
The wheels are spinning, but I got nothing.
Counting Crows, Recovering the Satellites.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yep. Yeah. So I think August and Everything After obviously drops. Massive, massive record. We talked about that a little bit, a couple times over the course of the life of the pod. Great record. One that I ride for. First one I ever owned. That is a great album title. Great first foray into the music world. And then the second record is kind of I'm sick of people knowing who I am. I feel alone, but trying to, deal with the fame aspect.
Yeah.
And they're Recovering the Satellites. They were way up high when they got huge and they came back down to earth. and you got to go find them, pick them up, and fix them, and try to get back out there. And I think that kind of fits the vibe of the record. I mean, the title track is great too. The vibe of that song is so good. Long December on there, amazing. Catapult, amazing. It's just Goodnight Elizabeth is probably my favorite Counting Crows song, if not favorite. It's in the top 5. It's just so well built around this band and fits where they were as a band at that time in 1996. And I think they could drop it at any point and it would have worked, but it really worked where they did drop it. And yeah, I think it just elevates the record and it elevates the band at this time.
So Nate, I think when we first kicked off this episode, you kind of mentioned that this exercise like makes you actually think about the album title, where like I've always known, I have this album, I've owned it for 25 years. I've never once thought about the meaning of it until right now. You know what I mean? You just know Recovering the Satellites, that's Counting Crows' second album or whatever. You know what I mean? You don't think about it. And now that you give that context, it is perfect. And now, to be honest with you, now I want to listen to it with those ears on to be like, all right, well, what are they actually talking about in the songs? Good stuff.
Absolutely. No, it's like, that's like the true fandom. It's like you're in for the ride, and the whole timeline of maybe Adam Duritz as a vocalist, like you're in his diary. Like that's the name. Yeah, that is an obvious album title based on where he is in his life. So I think that's an interesting dynamic as a fan of music, is if you're following it as it's, unfolding, you're really part of the story, which is really cool. So you're, to your point, Tone, with that album title, like, yeah, they got huge. They just out of the gate became massive. And how do you handle that pressure or stardom as a normal dude listening to Adam through headphones or whatever? You can kind of relate with his, lyricism. You're in the ebb and flow with him or the band directly or indirectly, vicariously. It's an interesting journey. So similar to what Twan said, I think I'm going to listen to this album with a different set of ears based on your narrative. Just really cool.
Nice. I mean, that's the point of doing these exercises too, right? We get to bring new light for the other two and throw our kind of collective thoughts around and see what shakes out. And that's how we end up with stuff like this. That's how we end up with a Bandvantage idea. That's how we end up with Bandicap, all that fun stuff.
Super nerdy.
You know what this is tangent but nerdery as well. Like it reminds me of when Sugar Ray put out Floored. Like it was an accidental hit. And then the album after that was 1459. Their 15 minutes of fame were running out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Counting Crows could have named their album 1459 and it just wouldn't have hit. You know what I mean? This
not the same.
This proves the value of a fucking banging name. Yeah, that's a great pick.
Yeah, thanks.
Confirmed.
Nerdified.
Nerdified, certified, baby. All right, who's up?
Nate.
All right, I got one. This is a throwback to September 17th of 1996. I'm a big fan of the 90s OGs, as we all know. This is an art rock, funk, country, I guess you'd say, folk album by the band Cake. So simple name.
Fashion Nugget?
Fashion Nugget?
Fashion Nugget.
I almost put this one down. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All right, I'm listening because I want to see where you go with this.
Me too.
I mean, it's very digestible. So you got to think this came out in 96, very formative years for music appreciation for me, and I guess for all of us. So Cake is already as simple as it gets. One word. Then Fashion Nugget. Nugget immediately for me went to food, but it's obviously, at least based on the album cover, not necessarily a nugget. It's actually like an egg. But it's so simple, and I feel like Fashion Nugget almost represents the band better than the name Cake, because they're just such a dynamic band with different sounds that it ties it in. Fashion Nugget. They're like jazzy, but they're polished, but they're grungy, but a lot of the times the vocalist is just talking. So I think it elevates the band, but also the music associated with this album title based on the simplicity that is Cake. I mean, it's the most simple band that I can really think of. It's just kind of,
I'm going to make a comment. Where the 90s was the king of the 2-word albums. Hello Nasty, Fashion Nugget, Tragic Kingdom. Like, is that a thing, or am I just pulling that out of my ass?
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing left to no.
I know. I'm
color
just
and the
kidding.
shape.
I'm just
Color,
yeah.
shape.
I'm just color, shape. Exactly. Same idea. Right. Right.
No, that's a good point. Could be very much so the case, but yeah, Fashion Nugget just takes it. Simple cover, simple name, simple album name.
I almost wrote this one down because I agree with you. I think this one fits the band and fits the record kind of perfectly. And I don't know that another band, I mean, probably another band could have put it out, but I'm not sure they would have put it out the right way that Cake did. They have the big songs are what? The Distance and I Will Survive. Yep. The Distance is them. I Will Survive is a Gloria Gaynor cover, I believe. Mm-hmm. But like they put their own vibe on it. Like you love when a cover is made their own by the band. This certainly was. They obviously had a pretty big career around this time, starting with this and then moving into the records that ensued. Had a bunch of radio hits that I remember, like Short Skirt, Long Jacket, Sheep Go to Heaven, Goats Go to Hell. Great song. Go listen to that if you're bored. Just cool stuff out there from those guys. But this really does kind of encapsulate them and their sound and what you're going to get. It does feel like here's our fashion nugget. Like it's got everything. Enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or it's almost like I almost interpret it like a diamond in the rough, right? That type of vibe. I think
definitely.
I think the album artwork helps, which is great. I think it fits the music because I mean, like Smashing Pumpkins, if they named their album Fashion Nugget, it just wouldn't have worked.
So I'm going to give you one, Siamese Dream. That is a Smashing Pumpkins 90s two-word album. There you go.
Oh, Thank you. Yeah. Validation, baby. Oh, and actually what I was thinking about is I think this is the second time Cake's come up because, Tone, you brought them up in the cover. You wanted Cake to cover what song was it?
Oh, you're right. When did we? Oh, man. Now I don't remember. But, yes, I did bring them up because they would have fit something. Now I can't remember. I'll look it up. But, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Because it was the Distillers covering You Ought to Know and Cake covering something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Old school.
We're getting old and bad memories here.
Tone is always concerning because he's got it. But yeah, it's the simplicity factor for Cake because the band, the music, for me, the way I approached this was, band name, does it fit the artist? Yes. Okay, so what's next? The album. This is why we're doing this, right? So Bandvantage. So Fashion Nugget. It's also so simple, but for whatever reason, those words coincide with the music, in my mind at least, perfectly, seamlessly, because it's just such a unique band. And I just can't think of many bands that are operating or delivering albums in such a simple form. And I think the album cover artwork has a lot to do with it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think that's something I'm trying to stray away from, but it's part of the whole choice factor for me.
Well, I mean, I think now it's very tough to separate it because what Fashion Nugget as is that whole album cover.
Package.
Like, it's the whole package. Exactly. It's the whole package. Man, it's been years since I've listened to this album. Italian Leather Sofa. Remember that song?
Right. I found my notes for episode 61, but I just wrote Cake, so I don't remember what I said. We are getting old.
Was it Beastie Boys Sabotage?
It could have been. It could have been.
I can't remember.
Yeah, go back and listen. It's episode 61.
There you go. All right, I'm going to jump in here. This is an album that dropped in 2020, pre-pandemic, so in Q1 2020. Just straight clairvoyant album, sadly. It's an album...
Spanish love songs.
Yes. It's an album that Tone brought to the forefront for the... I was going to say three of us, but probably just two of us because Nate doesn't listen to the recommendations we give him. But it's an album... It came up... I'm trying to think. It was in the year-end episode. It was...
Yep.
It was in maybe an alternate for you or top 5 or...
I think it was top 5 for both of us.
Well, no. I didn't get into him like that then.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it was third for me. But then listening to it again, I was like, I wish this was one. Like, it's such a good record. Brave Faces Everyone, right?
Brave Faces Everyone. It's an album that if I could redo the 2021 rankings, I think it would be. It's like Hum, Deftones, Ohms, and then this. It's right in there. It's that good. But yeah, Brave Faces Everyone captures the essence of that album brilliantly. Like, if you're not familiar with Spanish love songs, what label are they on? Are they on Pure Noise?
They're on Pure. This record was on Pure Noise. I'm not sure if they're still on Pure Noise.
Yeah. So just the singer Dylan Slocum, like the title track, he's talking about student loan debt, living back with his parents, bad credit, living paycheck to paycheck, just stuff that people in their 20s might have to deal with. And the whole Brave Faces Everyone theme, it's just he's coming to terms with that restlessness in his life and the why behind it, and ultimately coming to grips with it. Like, we're in this for the long haul, so Brave Faces Everyone, buckle up. That's how I interpret it. Put on a brave face, because we're in this. And the fact that it was pre-pandemic is just
right. I
just remember wearing this record out in most of 2021. It was my most played, Spotify metrics, most played album of the year. But I think
for 21.
For 21.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, well, 20 and 21.
Yeah, because it dropped in I think February of 20.
This the pandemic's been going on so long that I'm probably getting my years crossed up.
It's a great record. It was it came out in 20. Right before the pandemic popped off. And I remember like listening to it in the gym before I was like afraid to go to the gym because of the pandemic. So yeah, I love the record before. It's the one that got me into him, Schmaltz.
Yep.
But it's at the time I thought it was a Bandicap name, but I'm fine with it now. Like the band is just so good. It doesn't really matter to me what they're called. I love the music they put out. Dylan's just, the wordplay is great. Delivery is great. It's just fun, but not happy, but also cathartic at the same time. Like, it does all those things. And Brave Faces Everyone is like them to the max.
Totally. And he's honest in a way that you can't help but relate with, but you also wouldn't maybe put it out there like that. And he's unapologetically, right. It's out there. And I just love it. If it was a different, like if this was a self-titled album, I don't think it would hit the same, I mean, it would, but it wouldn't at the same time.
So true. It's hard for you to, or for all of us to have kind of a personal touch on it, because what you just said, Twan, is similar to like observational humor. Like, if you can relate to it, then it's automatically digestible. So for this album and the name, especially with the pandemic, I think there's a different layer of, I don't know, it just seems realistic based on just your surroundings and present moment. So the album stands on its own based on that. What I try to do is separate myself from everything completely, but I think ultimately we can't do that because the music is what it is, and it's coming out at the time. So well put. And yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what you're trying to do with an album and band name is capture your audience and maybe draw people in based on people that are, not in the circle to realize, what's happening in the music. And that's what that album, and that's what that album name is. So
that's Nate. All that was Nate speak for. I still haven't listened to it, guys. It'll happen someday.
Yeah, that's so funny. Well, it's interesting how like a world tragedy to me elevated the whole meaning of this album, and it came out before the pandemic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It took on a whole new meaning when the pandemic.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a tribute to them for picking the right name and making it work.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lyrics to Brave Faces Everyone, and at the end, it could
be about the pandemic.
Yeah, the bridge is like, because we're just so fucking tired.
Yep.
It's just.
So we all started our podcasts. Yeah. Look at the first record. The first record is called Giant Sings the Blues, because Dylan, I think, is like 6'7", and it's got like a stuffed goose on the cover. So it's a little different as far as Bandvantage and Bandicaps go. He does like a play with words, though. Like Giant Sings the Blues. I love that. It's great.
So good. Yeah. Brave Faces Everyone, Bandvantage album edition to the max. Round 3.
Round 3, am I up?
You are up.
All right. What do I have here? Queens of the Stone Age. Which one would I pick if I was picking a Queens of the Stone Age record?
Lullabies to Paralyze.
That's a good one, but no.
Songs for the Deaf.
Songs for the Deaf. Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
They have great album titles anyway. I mean, rated R, Lullabies to Paralyze, Like Clockwork. Man, the list goes on. Era Vulgaris, cool band names, cool album names. I mean, for them from jump. But I think Songs for the Deaf, being a concept album, and just it elevates the entirety of the music. The whole thing is like a drive through the desert, right? And you're listening to the radio and you're getting different stations, getting different songs, different vibes, but all kind of desert, stoner rock. and their songs for the deaf, you can't even hear them. Like it's so good. It just fits this band perfectly. It makes you think. The singles are huge, but they also fit in the concept of the album. Like if you didn't know this band and they didn't have No One Knows on the radio or Go With the Flow on the radio, you wouldn't think that those songs were out of place where they were on the record. So that's kind of a tribute to they were able to put great songs on the radio, but also make this cohesive piece of artwork. So, and the name just kind of brings it there. I think it takes it to the next level. So Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age is my third pick.
I love it. Obviously, I love it. Big fan. Lived this album through and through, even physically out in the desert. Just try to understand in true nerd fashion, like, how did this come to fruition? Like, okay, I'm driving through the desert. I literally have it in my tape or CD deck or streaming through Spotify, whatever it is. And I gotta say, like, I tried to like completely relate and started to understand to an extent. I think there was a lot of drugs involved that I don't partake in to get this to come to full circle. But man, it is the album name, the band name, Queens of the Stone Age is a killer fucking name for a band, let alone Songs for the Deaf, which is so perplexing as a album name that I think it draws you in just based on that. And then when you play it, you understand it. The name very much so represents the album 100%. So I agree. Great pick. Great band, great album, great cover. Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
This is one of those situations where Nate was trying to get me into this band so hard for so long, and I fought it. So I did do it to him too. Yeah. It's not just Nate. And when I finally went and saw them live with you guys, which we've talked about, I think way back on like episode 15 or something, they blew my mind, and I was like, all right, I'll listen. And they've been one of my favorite bands ever since. So props to you, Nate, for wearing me down.
So the moral of the story is just keep trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you know what? They'll come around late, and at that point, the band will have already broken up, and they can't see them live, and you can rub it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, the bucket list episode will be relived in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah, this is an album like Recovering the Satellites, where you've heard it a million times, but I've never stopped to think of like, all right, well, why did they, even think about the meaning of it? Not once for me, or why they named it that. And like the title track is what, the real song for the deaf? Is that what it?
Yeah. Yep.
And how does that play into the name of the album?
It's a song for the deaf. Yep. It's like very.
What did I say? What did I say?
The real song. I think it's a song for the deaf.
A song for the deaf. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a woman talking about it, and then it's just kind of this doomy, undertone-y into this like soundscape. So it fits.
It gets
perfectly.
You in the vibe.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Man, and you're right. That's a band that, geez, are they like the goats of album titles?
They might be, man. There's so many good albums.
Damn, when you think about it, Like Clockwork is fucking gold.
So good. Villains was the most recent. Lullabies to Paralyze, great name for a record, and fits them. Like the thing is, like they pick things that fit them too. It's not just that's a cool name, let's use it. This also kind of fits our vibe and fits our aesthetic.
Yep.
Rated R. My favorite T-shirt I own was the Rated R T-shirt.
Nice.
I remember wearing that to somewhere. I don't remember where I was, and somebody looked at me, and they had no idea who Queens of the Stone Age was, and they saw the R on my chest, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I'm sometimes rated R too." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Go listen to that record. You'll get it."
I love when that happens. You get the random comments, whether it's a nod that they, someone approves of it, or it's someone making a joke.
Yep, that was
so
fun.
Good. The nod is the best because it's like true nerdery. You're like nod, like nice Rancid shirt or nice Deftones shirt. It's like, hell yeah, man.
Right. Hey, Deftones jacket. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like they know that you don't really want to be bothered, so it's just a nod,
Yeah.
Nerd
it's
speak.
Like if you own a Harley Davidson, you do the whole like.
Yeah. The Jeep Wave. Jeep Wave. Yeah.
I did that. I used to do that. Yeah. I know that actually. I didn't understand.
But you shouldn't have been doing that in your, Ford Bronco.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Is that 3 apiece?
No, I got a third one.
All right, Nate. Let's hear it, man.
All right, so I had one, and I'm gonna cross it out for a new one. Staying in the prog rock category, I originally had Pink Floyd, "Dark Side of the Moon," which I guess at this point I'm just gonna say it's an honorable mention because I'm gonna swap it out for Tool, Fear Inoculum, based on our conversation on timing because this album dropped on August 30th, 2019, when things were relatively stable. Pandemic had not started, but Fear as a mainstream media tool was pretty present, whether you were paying attention or not. Fast forward to pandemic, and I'm not even being political. I'm just saying, like, it's a scary time. It still is. Fear Inoculum is such an amazing album name for a band. Tool that already has a perfect band name in its simplicity. Keeping it simple is, I think, Tool's way of saying, yeah, like album cover, album name. I mean, the album cover artwork's always amazing, but listen to the music and, the name of the album and the band name will speak for itself. And I think this album definitely fits that. And with the whole pandemic, and it's not even really the pandemic, I think Fear Inoculum is transferable to just so many things. Armageddon, climate change, what you can kind of staple it to anything. There's just so much things that people are saying, oh, watch out for the boogeyman on this too. It's like, oh shit, I guess I should, or I can just live my life. So I'm going to call this a Bandvantage, just based on the fact that Tool hadn't put out an album in such a long time. They finally delivered, and it's Fear Inoculum, Tool. And as always with the band Tool, you're fully immersed in whatever their message is. And it fits, as usual, to this newest album that dropped in 2019.
Great pick. I had this written down. I was It was nice. Going to be an honorable mention type thing for me too, but Nate and I were on the same page tonight apparently, and that record, the name is perfect. It did drop about 6 months too early for which, to say a Tool album dropped 6 months too early is kind of a funny statement in its own, because right. It was 14 years between records, but
yeah, should have delayed a little bit longer.
They were prescient. They were ahead of their time. They were clairvoyant, nerdvoyant, as it were. Like it fit what we were going to see from the world 6 months later. And it's kind of wild that they're always kind of on it anyway with stuff like that, but not that they need elevation from album titles, but this one does elevate them. I mean, they're already a band that is going to get noticed and listened to and dissected, and you could do it for years and still not get every little piece that you could find out of it. That's the best part about that band. But this fits very, very perfectly for this Bandvantage category. Nate, great call.
We've done enough albums tonight where I feel like I've historically taken album titles for granted. Like I acknowledge that, oh, that's cool, but I don't question the why, or put in the context of the time, because that's a big part of it. Brave Faces Everyone, Fear Inoculum, cool album title. I never even stopped to like really pay much attention to it, and I've listened to the album. It's just, I don't know. That's what we do here. I think we just shine light on maybe things that were right under our noses and never really thought about. I mean, you guys certainly have, it sounds like, with this album, but I never even thought about, all right, well, what does that mean? And how does the context of the time play into it?
That's easy to do. There's a million things coming at us every day, and I do that with other stuff. And you guys have brought it to my attention. I'm like, oh man, I never even thought about it that way. And now I think about it that way because we do this every week. So That's kind of been one of those things that, I know 100, 102, whatever episodes of this has been pretty fucking badass.
And even age or maturity, like we've talked about this in the past. I didn't know what Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was. I didn't even know that was a joke until years later. It's just, it takes these conversations to kind of flesh that stuff out. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. Totally. No, it's an exercise. Like this whole, I changed this last minute and it was already kind of in my head, but to be honest, I tried to avoid it just because I don't know. I've tried to go for bands that I don't usually pick. Tool is one that comes up quite a bit. I'm seeing them soon. Or I actually just saw them. And, the title track is
time travel, Nate. Don't do it. Travel. Don't let them know.
Time travel. Fear Inoculum is the kickoff track. Maynard is a winemaker as well. And, working wineries, inoculating wine is a process. So I think there's some crossover there. But like you said,
vaccines.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-vaccine pandemic bullshit. They were talking about fucking vaccines.
I know. It's like this. It's amazing that they were on it that much. But if you play the album to kind of revert it to present as a backdrop, I think we talked about this in like the height of the pandemic, version 1 at least, with like what was it? Say Nine Inch Nails, The Fragile during the pandemic is a good backdrop. This is a great backdrop to like if you play CNN today and play Fear Inoculum, it's like because Fear Inoculum as a track eases in. and it just gets worse and worse. And you're like, oh shit. So it's almost like I remember watching TV and just seeing like the death count just stack up. And you're like, okay, this is fear inoculum. Like, get scared. Shit's getting real. It's like, fuck, why am I even watching this right now? So there's a lot of rewinding in terms of visuals that I get with this album. And based on the album title, but like you said, Twan, it never occurred to me until we did this exercise to kind of reiterate in my head, like, what does this album mean? Why is it significant now? And why is it valid for this topic?
All right, I'll go my last one here.
Yeah.
All right, so last one. This is an album that turns 20 this year in 2022. And this is another one where when you factor in the context of the time and, you know, the time the band spent leading up to the album, and then this album comes out and it's this title, it really does elevate it. So this is this band's major label debut on Universal Records. It's their second album. It came out 5 years after their debut full length, which was on Victory Records. The album is called Perseverance, and the band is Hatebreed. Simple, one word, but that's all they needed. A band that sounds like Hatebreed shouldn't be on a major label. It's counterintuitive. You know, like how are they going to market Hatebreed in a world where, you know, nu metal's still popping? But I think Perseverance works. The 5-year gap between albums, they land on a major. This is just post 9/11, right? So there's, you know, this rallying across the country, and then there's a song on the album, I forget the name of it, that references you know, the people that lost their lives in 9/11. And so this adds that backdrop to it. And I think it elevates it, you know, because they could have gone, I mean, most of their stuff is very positive. They could have gone kind of a negative connotation with this album, and maybe it would have hit different. But Perseverance, I love it. Love the title track. Perseverance against all opposition, crushing all limitations, pure strength through solitude. Just Hatebreed fucking gloriness. I love it.
I love that in doing this, I've learned, I mean, I didn't know much about Hatebreed prior to us talking weekly. I knew of them. I didn't love the name. I thought it was maybe a bandicap, that type of deal. But in hearing you talk about them and now knowing more, way more than I did before, they're way more positive than people give them credit for, right?
Oh, it's very, very positive.
Don't judge a book by its cover, right? I guess a bandicap doesn't necessarily mean that things are bad. And then this is a great way to kind of introduce that. This record name, this album name is perfect as far as what they do, and it elevates what they do. It's just go listen to that and figure out that they're not the negative thing that you think they are, because they're heavy, because they have a name that might sound, you know, hate is at the front of it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's not that at all.
And they leaned into the positivity thing bigly. Like they're on the first album, they have a line, "When I wake up, the real nightmare begins." Like they kind of left that in the past, and, you know, Perseverance is very positive, and, you know, smashing your enemies and all that stuff, which is positive, right?
Positive, yeah. You want to smash your enemies. We totally do. We all do it every day.
Right. No, it's very much so a band you can't judge on, you know, by the cover. You know, I have a logo. It's like a logo that's like on fire. So there's already like, what is this? It says Hatebreed. That's not a good thing. And then you see an album in the record store that says Supremacy. You're like, okay, is this like a neo-Nazi thing? What's going on here? But if you listen to the music, like you said, it's actually the exact opposite. And I think that's the coolest thing, that it's polar opposite to what your first initial thought is. It's, Jamie Joss is, you know, very positive guy. The band's positive. The music's great. The shows are amazing. It's like the 311 of metal, you know? So yeah, you couldn't have said it better. I think it's a misrepresented band, at least on a first initial thought. But I think that adds value to the band, because you know if you know, and if you don't, then you're missing out. So
yeah,
right, totally.
But Perseverance, I love it. I have a Perseverance tour poster on my wall. It was an eBay pickup. I didn't go to the tour. I'm a poser, but
I thought you were gonna say you had a Perseverance tattoo, and I was gonna be like, "Wow, Twat, nice."
Yeah, neck tat.
Wow, I didn't know.
Knuckles.
Big old forehead tat. Look at you. That must be new, huh?
Eyelash tat.
It's good stuff. I will say this. And I'm not just pulling a Nate, just saying I'm going to do it, but I will go back and listen to these albums with different ears.
Same. Totally.
Nice. I will too. It's 2022, like I said last time, turning a new leaf over here in terms of.
I've heard that before.
You'll persevere through with perseverance. You put on your brave face.
Keep banging on that drum, and we'll get into listen at some point. I'm gonna go listen to Table Legs major label debut, guys. Bye.
Purple turkey all day.
Purple turkey, perp turk.
What was it? Alaska? What was it?
Alaska, baby. Yeah. I didn't make up Alaska. I tried to make up another state one to see if it would work, like Mississippi Ippy, but I didn't think it would work.
The Maine.
Yeah,
that is real.
There is the band, The Maine. Yeah.
There is the band. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked. Massachusetts.
The Vermont. The Vermont sandwich.
Well, that's a good place to wrap, I think. And hit us up on the socials, right?
Why not?
Everywhere you want, need, find on the internet. Go to podioslave.com. We're there for all of it. You can get to pretty much anything that we do on the internet. And it's not just us talking every week. There's videos of concerts. There's, reels of different interviews we've had. There's all kinds of fun stuff out there. YouTube video, all that fun stuff. So just go check it out. We've continuing to add to it. And as you heard in episode 100, a couple episodes back, we've got more to come. We've got more people hopefully to talk to. And we're just going to keep grinding this bad boy out because it's a blast for us.
Yep. It's pay to play. Like Tone said, we're going to the shows, Life and Limb during a pandemic. We'll be there just for the content and the stories. So it's been real. Continue going. Cheers all.
Peace, botheads.
We'll see you next week.